Welcome to episode 55 of Shane Talks 99. It is December 17th, 1999, and we are 8 days away from Christmas. It's time to kick off the holiday movie options into high gear. We're going to go with two family films in theaters this weekend. It's starting to get close to like that time of the year when families are getting together and like when those people want to avoid their real life families. Let's give them some family options to go see at the movie theaters, and 8 days before Christmas is the best time to do that. So we got two options. They're both, I won't say science fiction, but they're both like fantasy options that try to, give you the family dynamic. And like they both accomplish what they're trying to do, I can say, I guess. The first up is Bicentennial Man, the one of the two that I'm not a huge fan of. Like, it's not that I don't like the movie, like I just don't enjoy the movie. Like I don't enjoy it like I think I'm supposed to. Like I don't enjoy the way that I think the movie is meant to be enjoyed by people. Like it's not a bad movie. Like I've seen way worse than this. I've seen a couple of really bad things in 1999. And then Bicentennial Man was just like a disappointment. It was just like I just didn't get to the emotional point that I feel like the script wanted me to get to. And like, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a story thing or if it's the Hollywood version of the story, because the movie is based on a story by Isaac Asimov, who is one of the greatest science fiction writers ever. Like he's done a lot of stuff that I really enjoy. So I have never read the original story, so I don't know if how true the Hollywood version was. I don't know if they changed a bunch of stuff, but whoever wrote the script for the movie just didn't hit it the same way that I think I was supposed to get to at the end of this movie. Like Bicentennial Man tells the story of Andrew, who is an android played by Robin Williams. And he gets like I'm not adopted, but like he gets put into this house, this family. And like this family like starts, he's supposed to be like the butler type thing. Like he's supposed to just like help out around the house. He follows the three laws of robotics. Like, but while he's there with the family, he ends up they kind of discover that he has some emotion to him and that he's like artistically gifted and he can, do all these things that like he wasn't really supposed to do. So, father takes him back to the robot place and he's like, is he supposed to be able to do this? And the guy's like, no, let me get rid of that. And the dad's like, nah, let's give him a chance. Let's see what this turns into. And so then it like becomes this journey that Andrew goes on. And like Andrew kind of starts to outgrow the family because as a robot, they get older. He doesn't. It's like the story trope about immortality and watching your loved ones die. Then he kind of starts going on his own journey through like robot life, trying to understand what it means to be human and like wanting and striving to get emotions and to, be more of a real person. So like once he returns to the family's home, like it's like been a couple of generations now, and like so there's like the great granddaughter of like the guy that brought him home and whatnot, and he ends up falling in love with her, and then like she falls in love with him, and it's very weird. Like a lot of the dynamic in the original generation, and then this multiple generations later is like accepting of him, like accepting him into their family, and then like I said, like it gets really weird once he ends up with his emotional connection and attraction to a real person, and she feels the same way about him. And then there's a lot of political stuff that's involved where they can't get married because like he's not a real person. And so then, he starts going on this journey of like changing his mechanical body out to become as human as possible. Like, it starts with, skin on the outside of his robot body. And then it eventually gets to the point where he goes and he asks them to replace all of his like inner liquids with blood. And so like he's then got blood running through him. And like the scientist guy explains, like, you have blood in you now. This isn't gonna last as long as you're, robot fuel. And so like it just again, by the time we get to this point, I'm just like, I'm kind of mentally checked out of this movie. And like, it's sci-fi. So like, I shouldn't question all this weird stuff. Like, there's been some really weird sci-fi stuff that's happened here in 1999, but this one just, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say creepy, but like, the whole, I don't know. Again, this may be straight from the book. I may be just like not down for it. I don't know. It's just his emotional journey. I start on it with him, but by the time we get to a certain point, I am just mentally checked out of like really caring about where Andrew is going. Um, we get to the end and, society finally accepts him as a human being. Well, I won't spoil everything that happens, but it's just kind of like, okay, like, and truth be told, if I remember right, that scene is in the trailer. So like it's not like they made it a big secret about what's eventually going to happen. But again, if you've studied trailer studies, you know that, movie going audiences want to be told the entire story up front. That's why but so many trailers give away everything. I'm pretty sure if I remember right that this movie does too. So like the performances in this movie are fine. Like Robin Williams is Robin Williams. He's really good. I'll take this movie over Jacob the Ladder or Jacob the Ladder, Jacob the Liar any day. Like, wow, I just really confused Jacob's Ladder, an amazing film, with the absolute piece of garbage, Jacob the Liar. That's a mental error on my part. Like this film also has Jurassic Park Sam Neill in it. It's got Army of Darkness's Emma Beth Davidovitz, the Santa Claus's Wendy Crewson, Lake Placid's Oliver Platt, Office Space's Stephen Root, Billy Madison's Bradley Whitford, the comedian John Michael Higgins is in this movie. And then, like, my favorite small little character in this movie is played by a girl named Kirsten Warren. Kirsten Warren, you will have no idea who this girl is. The only other like major movie really that I remember her in is Independence Day. I really remember her as being the cute ditzy roommate on the TV show Saved by the Bell, the college years. And like she actually had a really good 1999. I don't remember her in either of these movies, but she was also in Pushing 10 and she was also in Liberty Heights. Again, don't remember where she was in those movies, but it's cool that she was in three movies that I care about in 1999. So like again, decent cast. Really enjoy most of the performances overall, but this script is just so blah and like feel like I should like this movie more than it does, more than I do, but like it just doesn't hit me the right way. So like I like sci-fi. I'm overly annoyingly emotional, and this flick still just didn't get to me. So there's obviously something wrong with it. So like the next movie for us to talk about is like the childish movie that came out this week. And like I don't mean like childish in like a bad way. Like I mean like childlike. Like it's a movie that reminds me about like just the stuff that I grew up with and like talking animals and stuff. And I'm talking about a movie called Stuart Little. And this is how a fish out of the water story should be done. Previous movie, Bicentennial Man, we've got a robot coming into a family, being rejected by the family, going on a journey to be a human, and then finally being accepted by family. So, like, that's one way to do the fish out of the water story that was very poorly executed. Give me Stuart Little's fish out of the water story. This is how you emotionally get me involved in stuff. And like I'm like emotionally involved in like multiple characters in this movie. And this is the right way to do a fish out of the water story. And like, so do you remember back in August there was a movie that came out? It was called The Sixth Sense, written by this little guy. I mean, he probably will go on to have some kind of a career. His name was M. Night Shyamalan. That guy also wrote Stuart Little. And so, like, good job for you, sir. Two good movies that I enjoy from 1999. The obvious reason, the most obvious reason why I enjoy this movie is a little guy who has a little voice of Stuart Little, and that is Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was also the voice of Chance in The Incredible Journey. Well, and the sequel that's really not very good. But this is the guy who did Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, Secret of My Success, Doc Hollywood, For Love or Money, Greedy, The American President, Frighteners. Like Michael J. Fox in the 90s did everything that I was in love with on screen. Like he had a huge influence on me, and so it was no surprise that his movie that he put out in 1999 is something that I really enjoy. But besides him, let's look at the other people involved. Let's look at the other voice cast first. Like the voice cast had people like Nathan Lane, Ches Palminteri, Steve Zahn, David Allen Greer, Jennifer Tilly is one of the voices in this movie. Like great great voices for the other cats, the other mice, all the animals that talk in this movie. They did a really good job of putting together a voice cast for it. On top of that, we have an amazing humans cast in this movie also. Hugh Laurie and Gina Davis play the parents. They're both amazing. They both do a really good job. Jonathan Lipnicki, fly off with the success of Jerry Maguire, an absolutely amazing Cameron Crowe movie, if I might name drop Cameron Crowe for a quick second. Like he was just coming off Jerry Maguire, ended up doing this movie. Julia Sweeney from SNL was in here. Dabney Coleman, who did a lot of great comedies. Joe Polito, Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls is in this movie. Even Milo from The Last Boy Scout is in this film. Taylor Negron. Like what what an amazing cast. And then I unfortunately have to mention the name of the guy who I don't understand how he put out three movies in 1999. The name Jeffrey Jones. Again, like I hate the fact that I have to mention him, but he was in this movie also. He also did two other movies in 1999. It's just really annoying that he had such a successful 1999 career. So anyway, back to Stuart Little. The film like starts off at an orphanage. The parents come in. They want to adopt a kid for their son. Want to give him a little brother. They get talked into adopting Stuart Little instead. They take the mouse home. Boom, we have our fish out of water. We have this little mouse being brought into a new family. How is he going to adopt? How are things going to go? Stuart is not accepted by his little brother. Jonathan Lipnicki does a good job of like not wanting to be his friend and not accepting him until Act Two. So that's a really good dynamic, and him like Stuart Little not doing anything to deserve this. Um, Trying to get the affection of his brother, and then you've got the other household animals, the cats. You've got just other characters in this movie that are upset about Stuart Little being part of the family. And then once he eventually wins over his little brother, then we get where the other animals are then like, I mean, this is kind of where it gets kind of weird. There's like a kidnapping murder plot that goes on, like a side quest in this movie, but it's still like, again, it reminded me of those, it reminds me of stuff like, the Sesame Street movie from when I was a kid where Big Bird gets kidnapped. And like, it's that kind of fun, childish, childlike nostalgia that hit me when I watched the movie the first time and then hit me again on my rewatch of it that like I just actually feel emotionally connected, emotionally invested in what's going on in this movie. Um, they both movies this weekend tried to pull at my heartstrings. One of them was successful, one of them was not. Um, Stuart Little did a really good job of giving me just all kinds of stuff that I could relate to on a character level. The rejection, bullying that happens, the I don't know, the remorse that characters end up feeling once they realize how their actions like have affected Stuart. Like that movie does a great job of showing how to, embrace becoming part of a family. And I really, really I like okay, I'm good. So, thinking back to how things start in Act One of this movie and where it gets me emotionally by Act Three, like characters that I disliked at the beginning and how I've changed my minds about them by the end, like it's a very well done script. M. Night, you did a good job not putting an M. Night Shyamalan twist on the end of this. So, like, I don't know. I really enjoy the movie. Who knows? Maybe it's just because it's Michael J. Fox. That's always possible too. 4 days. In 4 days, we'll have another episode up. It'll be a one episode or a one movie episode, and it's going to be about Girl Interrupted. It's a movie I really enjoy, and I'm going to have a lot to say about it.